Oh, no,
anyway.
that's extremely interesting, Bob, because as you may have seen, they've done experiments now in Sweden with incredible magnetic fields generated in a fairly conventional manner, and they have actually levitated frogs and plants and all kinds of strange little things they've levitated with.
Is this documented?
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't heard anything about it. With a magnetic field?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Well, certainly frogs are not magnetic. I wonder what, is this just a raw magnetic field?
An
electromagnetic field?
An electromagnetic field, raw and gigantic, and they had a little chamber.
The big superconducting setup?
Yep. And they're
levitating a frog?
You got it. And
Was
the frog,
it written up anywhere?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh. I wonder how this managed to pass me by.
I'm glad to be delivering so much news to you tonight, Doug. but obviously,
where can do you have any? Is
it on your website?
Not to run off on another tangent here, but is there a name of any of the people or anything you can reference me to where I could look?
I'm sorry, this second I can't. It was Finnish scientists. It was carried on NBC, ABC, CBS. All the networks had it. They had the photographs of the frog floating there.
Boy, that's a tremendous discovery there.
Well, it is. It just, when you mentioned to me the tremendous gravitational field and the effect on your biological hand, it immediately flashed to that experiment in Finland. So there you are. Anyway, so you pushed on.
One more question. Have they levitated anything non-conductive, something with no water in it, like just I don't know, what
Well, they levitated.
Plastic or something like that?
No, I don't think so. I think that it was plants, nuts, frogs, spiders.
So it was all biological material?
Yes. Yes, but you said yourself you felt the gravity with your hand. Now that's the biological effect.
Right.
Anyway, I don't want to stunt your story. I just couldn't resist telling you that.
No, I'm glad you brought it up. That's actually very, very interesting to me. As time went on, we tossed a little golf ball at it, too. And it never did hit the sphere. It merely ricocheted off the field, which, again, was an impressive display.
Indeed. A golf ball is not in any way conductive. It has no moisture. It has no...
Well, or minimal amounts.
Very, anyway. So minimal.
Aside from the fluid
sure.
center golf balls.
Oh, that's right. They are fluid centers, aren't they?
But in either case, this was quite a impressive demonstration, just in the fact that this is producing a omnidirectional gravitational field around the unit. It was later connected up to the emitter and the amplifier, and where the gravitational beam out of the emitter can be focused. This, again, was extremely impressive. The gravitational wave or waves coming out of the emitter were focused into a small point and produced a little black dot in the air, hovering in the air.
Really?
Now, this is not to say it was a black hole, but what it was showing me was that it could bend light. Now, the only thing that can bend light is gravity. It's
that's right.
A lot of people say, well, light can be bent, so on and so forth. Usually that's diffracted or refracted, but where you can only bend light is with gravitational waves. So to me, again, this was another impressive demonstration.
But it really was a kind of a black hole.
Well,
in the sense that it was absorbing, at least in that.
Well, a black hole, by definition itself, would be the source of the gravitational distortion, as opposed to this
the byproduct
focusing on it. And you're also a black hole, quantum singularity, and blah 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 blah.
Sure, but the theory is the same, isn't it? In other words, you saw the blackness because of the intense focus of
right, where light couldn't escape.
Yeah,
essentially true. Still, it was an extremely impressive demonstration to me.
Oh yes.
So basically, those were we did get to essentially fool around with it a little more, but he was updating me with basically what had been learned in the time that they had the craft there. He wasn't really specific on how long the craft was there. He was very elusive on many of the questions that I presented to him.
How many did you? Yeah, that's something I want to touch on. You must have had 1 million questions by then.
I did, and he would answer them peripherally. He wouldn't really get down to the meat of the question.
But at that point, Barry had a higher security clearance than you did, didn't he?
Yeah, that's probably true.
That may have been the reason.
Yeah, who knows if he was told to do that or that was his own decision or what. But again, he was just basically filling me in with what they knew and what my job was going to be. And this was it. This was finding out how this subsystem of the craft operated in the craft, operated outside of the craft. Could this eventually be duplicated using another power source? Could this power source be duplicated itself without using exotic materials, and so on and so forth? Sometime later, I got my only view inside the craft, which again was extremely exciting.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, can you describe what you saw in that craft?
Yeah, I was let in again by what's his name? Not Barry, Dennis. And we walked up a small roll-away stairway that led into the craft. It was very cramped getting in the doorway. The hatch was removed. I really didn't pay attention to see how it was fashioned to it or if there were hinges or anything. A lot of people have asked me that, but it was... you don't spend time looking at how a door was connected somewhere when there's a flying saucer in front of you. In either case, I went inside. Initially, you must bend over to get in. There is very little headroom.
So whoever originally flew in this was small.
Right, whatever flew in it was tiny.
And if you notice, Art, if you're looking at the model of the sport model there, out near the equator of the disc, I mean, it literally comes to a point, and it graduates as you go towards the center. So obviously, the ceiling is very low near the edge.
And for the benefit of the audience, with internet access, I've got a photograph of the sport model on my live studio cam right now.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
As you walk into the craft, first of all, I should address a few questions that people constantly ask me.
All right, please.
One of them is certainly, well, how did you feel going into the craft? Wasn't it the most exciting thing in your life? And I know I've said this 1,000 times before to many other people, but it was not, the feeling at that time was not of excitement. It was a very ominous feeling.
Ominous.
Very much so. It was more of a feeling like, it's actually, I really can't describe it. It's difficult to put into words, but it was a very ominous feeling, more like, are you sure we should be here? But, of course, after the fact, it was certainly exciting, but it was a very, very odd feeling because, and with no pun intended, it was a very unearthly setting inside. All right,
that's a perfect place to hook them and hang them up until we come back from the news. So everybody relax, we'll be right back. All right, Bob Lazar and Gene Huff are my guests. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM.